Hey, in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about why you fear your potential, why you fear manifesting your greatness. I feel like this is the perfect time to be making this video with New Year's around the corner. I know a lot of people will have goals and objectives and new things they want to experience, but as we know, so many people never actually achieve their goals. Very few people actually create the change that they want, right? And I just want to dig a little bit deeper into this to look at why you don't do what you say you want to do. This is not just a matter of discipline, right? I know there's a lot of like self-development channels out there that'll make you believe you're just not disciplined enough. Discipline is obviously a big component of this, but there's a reason you are not disciplined. There's a reason you fear your potential, a deeper reason. So I want to delve into this and give you at least one explanation for why you struggle so much to create the change that you want. And obviously this isn't just at New Year's. This is any time, right? This applies to any time. I just thought this was a relevant time to create this video. So as we know, logically, you want to experience certain things. Whatever that is, right? You want to change your life in a certain way. Logically or rationally, you know that. Unfortunately, and I'm a very rational, logical person, at least I try to be, there's a part of you that is not very logical and is not very rational. The conscious mind is, the subconscious mind is not. The subconscious mind has a mind of its own. The subconscious mind does what the hell it wants. And as you've probably seen the iceberg diagram a million times before, about 90% of your programming is subconscious. So try as you might with your conscious little mind to make the change, to move in a new direction, you got 90% of your mind working against you. But if you can see how that 90% is working against you, then you've got a bit more insight, more awareness to actually change and get that subconscious on track. So you might be wondering, well, what is this fear? Why do I fear my greatness? Why do I fear manifesting my potential? I'm going to tell you that you do not fear the greatness or the potential in of itself, right? You cannot fear all your greatness because that is everything that is good in you. And we are naturally drawn to what is good, the light. So it's not your potential you fear directly. It's the consequences of what manifesting your potential would mean. Essentially, if you manifested your potential, it would radically change your life. Your life would look very, very different. You would be very, very different. You would not be the same person that you are being up to now. With that comes a lot of fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of change. The fear of the unknown is one of the deepest human fears. We fear what we don't know because it could be a risk to us. And this is a deeply programmed fear. This is how humanity came about. When we came into the world, we didn't know anything. Slowly, we've started to conquer more and more of the unknown. But the unknown never ends. Everything in the future is unknown. Right? The past is known, but you can't get where you want to go in the past. You have to go into the unknown. And that is scary. You have a certain ego, you have a certain identity that has brought you this far in your life. As much as it might make you suffer, as much as it might make you miserable and sad and depressed and anxious and all of that stuff, it still helped you get this far. It still helped you survive. That is the ultimate default program of the human being. Just like you have a laptop and the default program or the software might be Windows, right? So it's always on there. Windows runs everything else. It's like that. Your default program is survival. Your survival needs trump everything else. Your survival program does not care if you want to have a six-pack. It does not care if you want to quit your job and start your own business or find your dream partner. It doesn't care. It's just trying to survive. And who you have been up to now has helped you to survive. Now, if you really get serious about manifesting your potential, moving in a new direction, that makes your ego feel under threat. Let's take the example of somebody who wants to start their own business, right? Popular one. Now, that might mean you have to quit your job. right? Consciously, you might not be that worried about it. Subconsciously, there could be alarms going off, like, how are we going to get our survival needs met? What if we can't afford to eat? Like, what if we can't afford clothes or our rent or our house or whatever, right? We can't afford to pay our bills. This is what's going on subconsciously. Consciously, you might not even register it. But when you start to pursue the goal, right, you might feel like quitting. You might feel like, I can't do this, or things aren't going my way. Because your subconscious is making you sabotage yourself because there's more important needs rather than you just starting your own business. So you're sabotaging yourself because you're afraid of what manifesting your potential will bring. It'll change your life so radically. You will not be the person that you have been. And so there's no guarantee that your survival needs will be met. Because in your reality, in your life, your survival needs only got met as being that old identity. There's no guarantees in the unknown, right? Take another example. You might be someone who's not very healthy. Maybe you're out of shape and you think, you know what, in the new year, I'm really going to change my life. I'm going to change my health. I'm going to get in great shape. But your family and the friends and the people you've been hanging around for most of your life are not very healthy. So you might have these high ideals, but subconsciously you might have all these fears coming about. What if people don't like me? What if people judge me? What if my family abandon me or my friends abandon me? So this is just an example, but subconsciously we have so much fear around what the change will bring that we self-sabotage. We stay stuck because you cannot just change one small thing of your life and it not have an effect on everything else. That's what I'm trying to get you to see. Real change means a real shift in who you have been. Massive shift. Changing your job or changing a big part of your life, like your health, it has a knock-on effect on everything else. And these are not isolated things. It's like throwing a pebble in a pond or a river. It has a ripple. The ripples can go on for meters and meters and meters, right? That ripple affects all of the water around it. It's like that. You really want to make a drastic change. You are not only going to change everything about your own character, but everything around you as well, the people around you. Everything's going to shift, right? And so you need a lot of strong mentality, strong psychology. You need to be able to master your emotions, have a great awareness muscle so you can see all of this fear. Essentially, it's fear. Like I said, you're not afraid of your potential. You're afraid of the consequences of manifesting your potential. What if manifesting your potential means you literally have to go and help thousands and thousands of people or millions of people? That's so much work. And up to now, you might have just been a lazy bum, right? So do you see what I mean? You literally are not ready for it. Subconsciously, you don't want it, right? Because up to now, you just haven't been that person. Now, you find out your true purpose and all your potential, and you have to go and help millions and millions of people. That's not as easy as it sounds. That's a lot of responsibility. That is a lot of complexity. All change brings complexity. Complexity means you have to figure things out. It's not going to be easy. The whole thing's going to be a challenge. And you know what? Human beings, the way that we are, we don't like challenge. We naturally like pleasure and comfort. Naturally, we do. So just understanding the dynamics of your ego doesn't want to change because it fears what's going to happen as a result of that. That's what's sabotaging you. That's what's holding you back. And ultimately, when you don't change and you quit on your objectives, on your goals, your brain actually feels like it's won. It's like, oh my God, okay, we get to survive another day. Do you see what I mean? The survival programs are so deep. So just like I've said there, this famous quote you probably heard, which just paints the picture perfectly, is with great power comes great responsibility. That's what I mean. Your potential comes with great responsibility. It's a lot of work to manifest that. Really let that sink in. And really question if you're ready for that. Don't worry if you're not. You might just have to grow into the person who is. This is the journey. But I think this is where a lot of people can quit and get stuck. Some people, from what I understand, can even manifest emotional health problems, mental health problems, physical health problems, relationship problems, addictions, all these sorts of external problems, so they don't have to actually manifest their potential. That's how deeply they sabotage themselves. Let that sink in. You are potentially creating problems for yourself so you don't have to manifest your potential because it scares you that much. That takes us on to the final point of the video. How do you get over this? How do you deal with these self-sabotaging tendencies? Well, you've just got to start to recognize how you sabotage yourself to begin with. The point you feel like quitting, you can journal about this. Anytime you feel resistance, you feel like you can't go on, bring as much awareness to this resistance as you can. What you're going to probably find is this fear there. Like a big part of this, it's all around fear. Fear is like a very deep emotion that just grabs a hold of us and makes us believe things that are not necessarily true. Because like I said, in the unknown, you can try to imagine how things will be, but due to our human limitations, we can never actually know. We can use things like visualization to kind of bridge that gap, but ultimately we still don't know. Although, like I said, visualization and things can help, but you don't know, right? And that's scary. So this requires you to really open your heart to develop courage and trust. These are really heartfelt feelings. I'll make another video on this. It's an important topic. But ultimately, you need to start to open your heart, trust your heart, and take a leap of faith. Okay, and you don't need to take big leaps of faith. Just start by taking small leaps of faith. Practice leaps of faith, right? Something I learned in a book I've been reading recently, he says that God wants us to live by faith. That's why the world is the way that it is. That's why the world isn't 100% safe. Because God wants us to live by faith. God wants us to be courageous. Now, ask yourself, are you living a courageous, faithful life? And if you're not, then there's something for you to work on, because life is never going to be easy. Life is never going to be safe. As much as they try to make it safe, as you can see with everything that goes on in the world, it ain't that. It's never going to be. God doesn't ever want it to be that. God wants us to be strong enough to face life. There's a big difference, right? And I think with a lot of kind of modern culture and society, we try to make it too safe, which actually makes us weak. So trust the unknown, develop courage, get very interested in why you sabotage yourself. What are you really afraid of? Find the fear. Feel the fear and do it anyway. So that's everything I've got to talk about in this video. I hope it helps some of you out, especially in the new year. I hope it helps you go a little bit further than you usually might. But otherwise, if you did enjoy the video, if you could please go ahead, give it a like, share, subscribe. Really helps me out. But until next time, God bless.